Hello and welcome to my video, 3 creative artistic things you can do during the quarantine. You are probably going through the exact same thing that I am. We're stuck indoors, we can't do much. And if you're like me, you're a creator. And maybe you're thinking about this time as a time to create. And maybe that's hard. It seems like we have a lot of time these days, a lot of free time on our hands to invent, to create, to get ahead, to study. And when we actually try to do it, it's a lot harder than we think. So this is why I'm here with you today, to try to get you going, to get you back to work, to get you doing art, to being creative, and kind of easing back into it. In trying to come up with these ideas, these 3 ideas, I came up with 2 essential criteria for them. One, that they would actually teach you something, that in doing them, even though they were relaxed, etc., you needed to learn something. I think a lot of times we wonder, is the thing we're doing worth our while? Am I actually getting learning in, or am I just puttering around? Criteria 2 is it fun? And is it low pressure? And these exercises should be fun, should be relaxing, should be low stress. So, will you learn something? Absolutely. Will it be fun? Absolutely. Oh, and before we dive in, I just need one thing from you. Just one thing. Let go. Let go of expectation. The whole purpose of this is to punch through your creative block, to give you something to do, to grow, and to come up with something cool. But the idea of creating something cool, the expectation that you are going to come out of this and create something awesome right off the bat, let go of it. The best thing I ever did as an artist is to decide to not fear the blank page, to let go of the idea that what I was going to do when I put my stylus down on the digital paper was create something kick-ass. I let go of it. And the moment I let go of it, I started creating a lot more content. And the more content I created, the faster I improved. So, relax, work your muscles, chill out, and just start creating. And if it doesn't look good right away, just keep going. Because I'm a character artist, I'm very drawn to the face. We as social beings are very drawn to other faces, to other expressions. This is why as social animals we stare at other people. Now, there's a big tendency among us artists to draw the same kind of face again and again and again. It's hard, if you've been drawing a similar style of face for a long time, to invent new ones and to rethink new ones and to kind of see the face from different angles. There are a lot of noses in the world. There are a lot of mouths, a lot of head shapes. And if we are to really learn how to tackle a lot of different kinds of personalities, a lot of different characters, if we can invent people that we've never even thought of before, no one's ever seen, then we need to learn how to experiment. So, I call this exercise Face Scrabble. This is how it works. Draw a head. Then draw another head. The point of these 2 heads that you may have created is that they're very simple in shape. One is an oval, one is a triangle shape, one is a square, one is a rhombus, anywhere in between. The whole point is here to stretch the idea of what we think of as a head. Let's go cartoonish. Think Pixar. Think how wild they go with their head shapes. And make sure that you're not repeating things. Don't think too in depth about how they're built out. Don't worry about the cleft in the chin. Don't draw in the ears. Try not to create any distinguishing features in that silhouette. Just draw the silhouette, the shape of the face. Now we go in and we start drawing in features. The trick here is never repeat the same shape twice or the same feature twice. We want to create eyes that are each different from the last. Now don't worry about them being realistic. You don't have to draw the shades and folds of the eyelid, nothing like that. Just draw a very basic kind of eye. The point is, keep mixing these ideas and don't have an agenda in mind. Just draw a feature, move on to the next face, draw a feature. From there, we go and we do the same with the mouth or the nose. Move in whatever order you like, it's all up to you. But the point here is to not draw it the same way twice. Don't do it. And remember, these don't have to look even like they fit the face that they're in. The whole point here is to stretch the possibilities of what we understand faces can be. It's really possible to have a very, very wide face and a very small little mouth. What I always find happens, and this is the reason I call it face Scrabble, is that every single time I do it, I come up with personalities, features, characters that I never even thought of before. At tier 2, which is something I highly recommend you do, is you put in a light source somewhere in the image. Put the light source below their head, to the right of their head, above their head, or in front. And take this new face that you've created, that you've never seen before, that you just invented, and try to light it realistically. Where does the forehead slope? Does the forehead bulge? Are there cheekbones? Are they prominent? Are they sunken? Really, really push yourself and try to really imagine if this was a real face, how would it be shaped in 3 dimensions? And can I shade it that way? This is a really useful exercise. Even as a veteran artist, I find sometimes that shading a sphere, it can be hard for me. And so much of art, so much of the creation of things that don't exist and bringing them out of your mind and onto paper, digital or otherwise, involves shading in very, very basic ways. And so doing these basic shade jobs can bring us a long way towards learning how to do much more complex things. The next tier of this is for you to go a shade up in realism. So start adding little details. Give them hair, facial hair. You'd be surprised what mutton chops can do to a fella versus having a little soul patch or a goatee or nothing at all, or just stubble. Give them nose rings, give them eyebrow rings, give them a tattoo, give them a scar. Freckles are great to add. Worry lines in the lines in the forehead, lines around the nose. These kinds of things add a lot of personality. I think you'll find that you can really stretch where this goes and stretch the individualness of the person. I guess some people would call that individuality. And the next level up from this would be to try to extrapolate, taking one face and changing the angle. So redrawing the face using the same eyes, the same nose and all that from a different perspective, and just try to see what would happen. Once you take that face out of the frontal perspective and moving it one way or the next, you could find that it's a really helpful exercise, really gets your mind moving. Our second exercise today has to do with body type and silhouette. Silhouette, as you probably have all heard, is very important in art, whether it's 2-dimensional work, whether it's 3D work. I know whether I'm doing a composition in 2D or if I'm creating a game model in 3D. I think about silhouette quite a bit. The reason for this is because silhouette can convey a lot of information about a thing. So if you have just watched the first part, you know about the faces and how we start this in a very similar fashion. Using very basic primitives, and I mean very basic. Start constructing a creature. Whatever you do, keep it simple. Don't add too much. Keep these all very basic. Add arms and then add a head. That head can be within the body, so you might not even see it in the silhouette. It can be standing up tall on a tall neck. But however you tackle this, keep all the forms very basic. Don't think very hard about the anatomy or the realism behind these things. Assemble the forms one after the other, and what you'll find is that you can start to create things that you hadn't thought of before, that you'd never pictured. Again, often when we try to create something new, we tend to go to that archetypal thing that we know, that we've done before. I can find very quickly that if I push myself on this exercise and I continue to create combinations of things that were totally unlike the thing that I did before, I can start creating very weird, very cool, very unique concepts very quickly. The second level of this would be to, again, take a light source and shade it in. Now, when you do this, only use 2 values. One would be the lit value, one would be the shadow value. I would urge you to watch your values. Make sure that they don't deviate too far from one another. One of the most common mistakes we often use is that we make shadows too dark on something that would actually not realistically feel that dark. I would urge you also to do this for the face exercise. Skin tends to absorb a lot of ambient light, and so even in shadow, it doesn't usually look that dark. So again, when you're creating these characters, these little silhouettes, and you light them, don't deviate too much in the values. The emphasis here is on practice, on the practicing of rendering basic shapes, cylinders, ovals, circles, spheres, etc. And we are trying to stretch our imaginations. We drew this weird silhouette. Now, how do we make it look real? How do we sell it as a three-dimensional object? Some of these things you create, you might find it doesn't really work so well with this, but more often than not, if you really work hard at it and you think it out, you can really brainstorm and problem solve exactly how this two-dimensional silhouette would look in 3 dimensions. Again, don't go too detailed with it. Keep it simple. The next level up to do, if you feel like doing it, you don't have to, but the next level up is to add more features, right? There's the smaller features. There's the little, maybe there's cracks in the skin. Maybe its skin is folded in certain ways or plated in certain ways. Start adding that into the shadow map. Again, try not to use too many new values. Try not to use color unless you're working from color to begin with. Adding these little details can elevate a silhouette from something very basic to something that is definitely next level. Another way to expand on this is to draw the same thing that you just drew, but from a different angle. You might find that you have created something truly remarkable, truly memorable. I know that one of my favorite things that I've created in this is this one particular piece of art with this long head. It almost looks like it's stretched out, like it was part of a panorama photo, but the person was turning their head. This is such a weird aesthetic. I've never created a creature with a head like this, and now I'm obsessed with it. So that's that exercise. Silhouette, body type, body shape, whatever you want to call it. I think you're going to have a lot of fun with this exercise. The last 2 exercises, the faces or the silhouettes, you could do those traditionally with using traditional medium. In fact, the silhouettes work especially well. Taking a black marker and creating silhouettes, so fun. I think it's even better than doing it digitally. But this exercise, this color and composition exercise, you kind of need to do this one digitally. The reason being, because we are going to be pushing, pulling, destroying, and recreating as we go. That's what I love so much about this exercise. Start with a color. Don't make it too saturated. Go somewhere in the middle range of something, or even very faint, whatever you want to do. Fill up the screen. Then take another color. You can take a complementary color or something close there too, or take, honestly, whatever color you want and slap it in there as well. And then for the next 10 minutes at least, maybe 20 minutes, maybe the whole exercise, all you will be doing is color sampling from the 2 colors that are already there and mixing and pushing things around. Now, the goal here is to have a war between the 2 colors. Now, you can add in value however you want, and I suggest that you do. And I would add in saturation as much as you want, or subtract the saturation as you go. The point here is, though, to learn how much you can do with very little. Often I see artists trying to create an amazing new composition by adding 17 different kinds of colors. What happens is they end up creating this rainbow kaleidoscope world of very saturated kind of primary colors, and it tends to look like crayons or something. What's amazing about art, and what I have seen demonstrated by countless masters, of which I am not one, is how much power you can wield using very little color and very little contrast. The goal of this exercise is to get your brain moving in such a way that you can start playing with these rules and seeing what's possible. And I want you to notice one thing in particular: contrast and edges. When edges are sharp, they create enhanced contrast. And when something has enhanced contrast, our eyes go zip right to that point. That means that in this huge composition you're making, this gibberish composition, you can actually control where your audience will look using value, using color, and using contrast. So, as you're pushing, as you're pulling, as you're waxing on and waxing off, I want you to Start adding saturation, adding value, reducing saturation here and there, and see if you can create centers of interest. See if you can create areas that actually have very little contrast and have very little interest and have very little reason to pull the eye, to ensure that people look away from those areas to other parts of the picture. Then, if you want, you can start creating some kind of image. This is not necessary. It is kind of tangential to the main point, but I tend to always do this. Now, I never let myself do this within the first 5 minutes. If you see yourself creating a composition right off the bat or falling into one just a couple minutes in, what I always do is I just take one of the colors or one of the other colors or somewhere in between, and I just obliterate the thing or the part of the picture that makes it look like it's becoming an actual thing. And I force myself to create something entirely different. I am always happy with the outcome of these images, because what I do often is I create some kind of maelstrom, some kind of whirlwind of color and value and light. They're very fun, they're very kinetic. Things that I want you to do. 1, experiment with value and contrast to see if you can create areas that are more dramatic than others. What does it mean to have drama? And what does it mean to not have drama? To have a dramatic center of focus in a picture requires that other parts of the picture not be very dramatic. So how are you going to tone down the areas that don't matter and then ramp up interest in the area that does? Play with edges, play with color, play with saturation, play with value. See what you get. That's what this assignment and video is about. It's about experimenting with different techniques and ideas, engaging with these ideas, and pushing our boundaries. So often we have a very particular way of doing things. These exercises, each one of them is designed to make you break out of these practice formulas. You will be expected to push yourself beyond the boundaries of what you are comfortable with. You are expected to be adventuresome, to go outside the boundaries of what you usually do. And I think when you let go of these ideas and you embrace this more wild side, I think you'll find that you're having a lot more fun, because you're letting go of the idea of this being one way or another, and you're just letting it be. And when you let yourself be, and when you force yourself to push on past your natural boundaries, what you'll find is that you'll wander into places of your mind or of your capability that you didn't even know were there. And you might end up walking away from this whole experience a stronger, better artist. So that's all for me for now. I hope you enjoyed what you saw today. I hope you were inspired by it. I hope more than anything that you try one of these exercises. If you do, hit me up on social media. Show me what you have. I would love to hear from you. If you liked this video, if you want to see more videos like this kind, please leave a message in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to ring the bell. If there's something you want me to cover next time, let me know in the comments. Please tell me. I'm building out this YouTube channel and I would love for you to be a part of it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.